Right. Okay, so I'm recording it. It is so wonderful to be here with you guys. It's so nice to be here on the Libra new super moon. I have to tell you it just happened to fall that way. I had planned to do this yesterday on Friday, and it turned out my son was having his wisdom teeth out, and so I had to change it. And so all of a sudden I realized that it was the Libra new super moon, and so it's a really powerful day to be here. Let me just make sure I have everything. Oh, I know what I want to do. I want to turn on Q&A. Just one second here. Oh, I don't see it. No open questions. Okay, just want to see if I can make that show. Oh, the chat. All right. There we go. Okay, so I have a chat open too, and so you can test that and see if it works. I'll probably I'll get started, and then I'll look over and see if there's any questions coming in. So it's nice to see that some of you could join us live today. So the theme of this webinar is awakening divine love in the auric field. I thought about calling it the aura of a beautiful woman, because I'm actually doing the webinar in honor of a course. It's actually going to be a little bit of an introductory of the course that I'm starting next week. Next week, I'm starting the Light Body Woman group mentoring for fall. And that is a condensed program that's based off the 3-month one-on-one mentoring that I've been doing for the past 10 years. That's in the divine feminine wisdom, and it's in the deep, deep mystery teachings and all the esoteric teachings that have been birthed and cultivated on this platform over the past many, many years. And so it's called Light Body Woman. And so I wanted to give you an opportunity to get a flavor of some of it, and then I'll talk about it a little bit at the end for anyone who's interested. Or you never know, you might be interested in learning about it for the next time around. So I want to start, because we're actually just in time for the new moon. The new moon is happening at 2:26 my time, so it's happening in 23 minutes. So it's perfect. So what we can do, we'll just take a moment and align with the energies, because they're so powerful. The Libra new super moon, I did a video on it on YouTube, on my YouTube channel on Wednesday. And I talked about some very powerful things. And in fact, they were so powerful that my video didn't even catch the algorithm. It actually got blocked a little bit. So I invite you to go check it out if you're interested. Talked about a lot of the really serious things that are happening on the planet right now. And in some places, it's not wanted that those things be in the public discussion, but there is a lot changing right now. The Libra new moon that's happening in just a few minutes is it's aligned with heart energy. It's aligned with balancing the Shakti in the heart. Libra is the sign of justice, and it represents the balancing of the lunar and the solar forces that happens in the heart. And so that is it's really the balancing of the masculine and feminine. And it's the balancing of those energies that gives us all the power that we have. The truth is that our auric field is made up of masculine and feminine. We have a magnetic pole and an electric pole. And when we get, there's many things that can throw that off, and we'll talk about some of them. And the auric fields of human beings are pretty scrambled right now. We are individual units of God consciousness or goddess consciousness, however you want to think about it. But each person is an individual unit of that consciousness. And we all have been given everything we need to activate that consciousness, to cultivate it in our field, to master it, to learn it and understand it, so that we can be creators. And you probably have heard the word co-creators a lot, but this is a very real thing. If you have any background in metaphysics, or if you've been interested in spirituality, all real traditions teach that this kingdom of heaven exists within us. Because of the conditions in the world right now, there's a lot of programming where the thing about that is that aside from being ultra cosmically powerful, we're also very programmable. all units of consciousness are also programmable. The creator had to give us both. We had to be emissive to where we could create, but we also had to be able to be programmed. And so if we haven't come into some of our higher power, we're just programmed, we're walking around being used by others' intentions. And on the intention spectrum, there's everything from the dark intentions of control, manipulation, and almost the siphoning of soul power to the ultra awakened, almost so awake that you're off the spectrum of form of this reality. And so we want to be someplace in the middle where we have access to both the light and the dark. And so all right, so let's just take a moment. We'll take a couple minutes and tune in for the Libra new moon. And we'll do that because we're actually here. So just take a moment right now and make an intention. I have to say, new moons are activations. We use that word a lot, but everything is fertility. And that's the way my work started many years ago, is that I worked with people with fertility, and I dove into it and understood that that's also one of all the true laws of nature happen within this context. And so the new moon is the planting of our intentions. And so because we're here on the new moon, because we're here on this new super moon, it's a super moon in Libra, just take a moment. I invite you to just close your eyes for a moment and look inward and just ask yourself, if you know which house this falls in. I think I said on the video, it falls in the second house for me. So it falls in my house of material abundance and beauty, sensual beauty, and being surrounded by material things that are helpful and that make life beautiful. Because we're in this world of form, we want to create with beauty. It's really important that, and we're going to talk about that, how our auric field creates our environment. But so my intentions today are going to be around something having to do with that. If you do not know which house it falls in, that's perfectly fine. Know that Libra energy, which is the energy of balance and beauty and harmonizing, has to do with communication, thinking. It's ruled by Venus, so it's kind of the intellectual side of Venus, also the creative side and the discerning side of Venus. So you might use the power of Venus to set your intention. So we'll just take a moment. About 1 minute. It's really, we're going to use this. So use the power of this. We'll use the power of the session today to call it in. And I'm calling it in with you. And so once you have your intention in your heart, we ask to align with the energies. The new moon today is opposite Chiron, so it's asking us to heal. We have Libra. We have Venus and Mercury are in Libra, squaring Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn. We'll be talking about the energy of Capricorn a bit. And so there's an invitation to step up. Mercury and Venus are the mind and the heart. So, I mean, this is perfect because Libra is about harmonizing the mind and the heart. Mercury, the archetype of the mind, and Venus, the archetype of the heart, are both in Libra today. And so we've got that going on. We've got Jupiter square Neptune. There's a lot of spiritual energy available. Saturn direct. Big, 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 big happiness for me. So once you have your intention, we'll just start with I am in the 7 directions. Because this webinar is about the auric field, just know I use I am in the 7 directions. I am is the active solar force within the heart. I just start by saying I am in the 7 directions because I'm using the power of my word, which is the throat and a Venus center, to just affirm and establish that my auric field is coming from my own truth and my own monad, my own higher self. So just repeating after me, and I like people to see the sun emanating from their heart in the direction that we say. And so just taking a moment as we tune in, repeating after me. I am before me. I am behind me. I am at my left. I am at my right. I am above me. I am below me. I am unto me. And then just take a deep breath in and hold it for a moment. So breathing all the way in. And exhale it all out. I am, I know I am. I am, I am, I know I am. All right. So it's a really simple way. It's a really simple way to just call in your presence and to affirm that you have power. So let's start. So let's dive into this. So first of all, I just want to take a moment and bring some awareness to having compassion for all souls on this planet right now, because there's a lot of people suffering. We're going through a deep, deep transformation. There's so much energy coming in and so much being thrown in our face in the way of technology and not even our face, our auric field. The frequencies coming in are like they're storming at us. And so this work is about learning how to hold your field and be emissive, so that you can set yourself and discern and navigate through this field. But right now, humanity, there's a lot of people suffering, and we all are, because we're all connected and we're all feeling it, this transformation that we're going through leading up to January 2020. This is a big, big time, because Pluto and Saturn are going to be exactly conjunct in the sign of Capricorn. This has to do with how we've used our power, how we're resetting our power, how we're deconstructing it, and totally karmic, how it's karmically activated by Saturn. We have Jupiter entering Capricorn, which is just going to magnify, expand, and accelerate the process that we're in. And then we have Uranus. I like to work with the planets. So we have Uranus and Taurus, which is changing our financial system and our wealth system, and many more other clues that are pointing to, we already can feel it. We're in it. Things are changing. Technology is usurping our own individual God source, which is our organic ability to connect to our heart. So that's what we're going to talk about today. If anyone wants to type in the chat and say anything, feel free to, and I'll just see if it works. I have not used this webinar before for anything like this. I use it when I teach. I use it sometimes when I do sessions and when I teach courses, but I haven't done anything like this. So if anyone has any questions, feel free and I'll check in. So the thing I want to talk about, the auric field, first I want to talk about something pretty intuitive, but really, really powerful. Our auric field, the energy of light around our body, is made up of two primary things at any given moment: what we focus on and how we feel about it. So our masculine power is what we're focused on. In any given moment, we cannot separate the auric field's energy from what we are focused on and how we feel about that. The energy of the deep, deep subconscious isn't activated until there's a feeling. And so, if you know anything about advertising or anything about trying to get a response or sell something, it's got to activate someone's feeling centers. Oftentimes people are triggered by their wounds and their greatest fears. So if something activates us and it triggers a fear that we hold within our consciousness and our deep, deep underbelly and our subconscious mind, immediately we send up the energy that latches onto that feeling and begins to create that thing. This is pretty well understood in psychology, but it's in terms of the actual auric field and how that is our signal. We're getting more into the esoteric. And so our focus has a lot to do with Capricorn energies, and Capricorn is how we manifest. And so we have to, and our manifestation in Capricorn is connected to Venus and the creative imagination, which is activated by what we're focusing on. At any given time, we're creating what we focus on. So we have to really start to understand that our system currently, and more and more and more each day, each hour, is being designed to harness our focus. We are living in a different world than we were living in just months ago, meaning when we turn things on, we're hooked up. I have a really cool story to tell you. This happened yesterday. I was looking at something. I'm making a video, and I haven't done a lot of video editing, and I was looking for some software to edit a video that I'm making on Sunday night. And I went to a site, and I looked, and when I opened that site, their advertisement had a picture of a computer screen, and on that computer screen were the last 3 videos that I had watched on YouTube. So in whatever way our technology is hooked up, this company knew the last 3 videos that I had watched on YouTube, and they put them on the screen so that when I went to, it happened simultaneously. When I went to that site to log on and investigate it, immediately there was a bond. My heart immediately felt the connection, because I was like, at first I was like, I had to bring it close. I was like, wait a minute. And I saw the video. I was like, how could this be? I was like, oh, they must be in alignment with my values because they're watching the same thing. It took me a second, and then I was like, oh, wow, this company has nothing to do with these values. Somehow everything is so connected now that what I'm watching is showing up and helping to sell me something. So this is just one example, though, of how advanced technologies are right now. And we have to, in order not to go into just the full mind matrix of control, we have to understand our own aura and our own true feelings. In order to do that, we're going to have to be able to take a step back, because our aura is the mirror of what we see on the outer. So in a way, that was mirroring. I was mirroring already, but that's being mirrored through technology, which is very, very interesting and something to think about. Our aura is made up of our wounds, and so this is really important to talk about. The auric field is, we're going to talk about divine love and beauty and power. The auric field is connected to our wounds. That's the subconscious part of the field, and it's the most powerful part. The most directory part of our field is our consciousness. Our consciousness is what we're looking at, but oftentimes we think we're in charge of our own I consciousness, but our I consciousness is very much linked into this outer matrix. So what's happening is our own wounds that want to heal and be transmuted so that they can be in harmony with our mental body are being used and usurped rather than transmuted. So it's really important to understand the deepest part of yourself. This is part of the work that I do when I mentor with people. It's part of a process we do because, and I know this from my own work, because the work I do and the work that I teach when I mentor and do what I call the Light Body Woman teachings is based on healing. And and I personally have gone through what I call the entire underworld of the feminine wound, and gone through the major healing in relationships, in self-worth, in all of those layers of having to come face to face with the dark archetypes, of having to come face to face with the addictive archetypes, the creative archetypes, and understand how to bring those back into operation through my own sovereignty. I call it the collective feminine wound, because I know what I've lived from start to, not even quite finished yet, but from the beginning of this lifetime, is connected to healing the greater feminine wound. It's huge. It's so incredibly powerful how the woman is connected to the healing on planet Earth. We carry a certain amount of of power and projection in our field, and we have to come into the greater understanding of that. In order to do that, in my case, I had to pull myself up. I had to learn the codes of coming up and out of these things, up and out of them, of having the greatest fears triggered, the greatest betrayals triggered, the greatest fears, the greatest abuses, the greatest loss of power, loss of self-worth triggered, in order to understand that even in those conditions, we can regenerate. And so every wound holds a gift. Just know whatever wound you have, there's a gift inside it for you. And that's what this is about. All right, so we're wanting to activate the divine love field, which is in the heart. The heart, that what divine love is, it's the truth of who you are. It's that individual unit of your goddess consciousness. When you are in that consciousness, it's not, part of the work I do in this training that's, I'm starting next week, is that Shakti force has many different frequencies, and the frequency of divine love is a very, very particular balance of light and dark, and it is purified from the lust frequency and from some of the what I call the false light frequencies that we see being generated in the entertainment industry and all of the industries. And as women, we take this in, we soak it up, we take it in, and we become it. We lose access to the divine love point within our heart because we're so overwhelmed with it, and without even, it's nobody's fault, but without even realizing it, we succumb to it and we believe it. And because we're traveling through this journey of maiden, mother, and crone, we're traveling through time and space. We start out with one body, we end up with another body. We go through this process of aging. All of us do, but it's especially resonates with the vulnerability and the programmability of the feminine consciousness. So once we learn to go past that and understand who we are, that stuff falls flat on its face. It just can't. We start to emanate truth. Truth just means that you're able to live who you are, and that's the next point we're going to go into. You're able to be who you are and live as in your authentic self, your authentic mission, which is another thing we work on in this mentoring. You get to work with your own archetypal blueprint, who you are, why you're here. Everybody has their own reason for being here. Each individual unit of God consciousness plays a part in the eternal symphony of creation. And so once you know who you are and you can connect to it, you don't have to fight against the outer world. In other words, you don't have to define yourself by what you are against. You define yourself by who you are, and by letting that creativity ripple out in concentric circles from you, starting with your body, into your immediate space, into your home, into your family, into your community, out onto the world stage. But it starts by holding that space. That space is a space that's fearless and that has pure courage and pure, raw emotional power, because you're in tune with the truth of who you are, and you understand that those images aren't relevant to you. They're playful and they're creative, and they can help you to find they can activate things that you want to create in the world. You can see this and be like, I don't really like this. I'm against this. You can feel that way. And then go into your subconscious mind and learn, how do I generate the solution to that, rather than how do I usurp all my energy to go out and attack that thing and try to bring it down. Meanwhile, my own emotional body becomes the lust power that eats away at the vital body that has to be intact in order to build my auric field and awaken my body of light. It's called Light Body Woman because I apply all the principles of the metaphysical awakening of the light body to the feminine consciousness. And the light body woman is really the archetype of the new feminine, and it's very, very powerful. So a couple of the things that we work on, one of the things I work on is something that I call Sophionic feminism or Sophionic activism. And so what this is a new answer. It's a new voice of feminism and activism. It's not the angry, self-sabotaging, almost patriarchal type of form of feminism that has been engineered and groomed into becoming more and more like the very thing that it's trying to transmute. That has nothing, I'm not trying to make any statement that all feminism is negative, because we need it. But what we work on in this is a new frequency of activism and feminism that embodies the divine feminine principles, and it's unstoppable, and it's the true power of regeneration that's active in the feminine consciousness. This consciousness is awakening in all human beings, men, women, children, all orientations, all races, all religions, all levels of education and understanding, all religions. But it has to start somewhere. And so that's what we're doing. We're seeding the planet with this consciousness, and this is the direction that we're going in. What this is really connected to is how you can be yourself and how you can harmonize yourself with the whole. So this is when we're looking at the Libra energies, that Libra is about creating, but harmonizing. Libra is about the group. It's about relationships. It's about marriage, in the marriage of anything, any two people, any two ideas. It's about how we harmonize. Aries is about me, my power, my authenticity, my ability to initiate, to go forward into the world, my ability to protect myself, my ability to stand for something. So the next part of really activating divine love in the Auric field is to know how you can be you. And then the most important part of being you all the way is it does no good to be you if you're not able to take that you, that authentic blueprint that you have, into a relationship and hold it while still having the humility and the grace and the receptivity and the heart energy to listen to have compassion with, to resonate, and to be in love with another human being. And this is love. This is what divine love is. Divine love is the ability to love, even the ability to commit and to be with somebody and to grow with somebody, or to grow with a group, or to grow with a child, or to grow with a creative project. But we don't really, and remember, life is a process of continually unfolding and discovering who we are. So we're never perfect. We're always a work in project, in process, but in progress. We are always invited to hold as much truth as we can, to speak our truth, to not be manipulated and triggered, but to just be who we are, to just state our truth without having attack. Oftentimes when we're insecure, we speak our truth and we we attract attack. These A words are so active. We attract attack because deep down we're insecure about who we are. And so when we say something and we try to get it out, everything comes at us. And what's really happening is that the universe is giving us an opportunity to stand up for ourselves and to speak our truth, but to learn how to eventually get to the place where we can say it without tears. At first we need to say it with lots of tears, lots of breakdowns, but to just say it, and to just say it creatively, and to even be in a relationship and talk about something that's really hard, but to just speak it and to be okay with it, and to be okay if somebody. This is where our culture is completely frying everyone's ability to do this. And I saw a really funny meme that I'll mention in just a second. Our culture is about this. I define myself by being against you. And if you say something that's not in alignment with what I think, you're gone. You're out of here. I want nothing to do with you. I will unfriend you, unfollow you. I won't join you. I won't connect with you. You can't take part of my group. I mean, it's that simple. It's that black and white. True power is the ability, and a lot of people are coming into this, to speak to people, to just simply be able to say, this is where I'm at with it, and to be honest, and then have the other person say, this is where I'm at with it, and to be like, okay, what do you think the solution is? Is it possible that you and I can work together, or do we just disagree too much for now? Perhaps you'll go off and work on your thing, I'll work on my thing, and perhaps we'll be able to come back and do this thing together. But right now, everything is so ouchy and so woundy and so triggery that everything is exploding. I'd say a huge percentage of that is engineered and on purpose. We're trained to be reactive because that releases soul energy into the system, and that energy is harnessed to keep the auric field of the earth from experiencing divine love. Divine love is experienced when the masculine and feminine polarity are having a brilliant conversation with each other, when they're loving each other, when they're honoring each other, respecting each other, when they're dancing. it's like tango. I used to take tango and to go to tango workshops. Tango is so brilliantly beautiful because it's so much about listening to the other person so you can respond and move and dance and respond appropriately, or to respond quickly, or to respond fluidly, or to respond in a grand way, or a tiny way, or a subtle way. But in order to respond appropriately, the very most important thing is to be able to hear from the heart. Balance in Libra is about understanding how to hear. If you don't hear, you miss everything. And the only thing that's triggered, the feelings get triggered prematurely, they activate the wound, and they keep everything at the status quo, or worse, falling down or degenerating or self-sabotaging. When we slow down and understand the power of listening and being silent, everything inside us that we need arises, and the auric field comes into divine love. We are so hooked up now to visual images. Visual images activate us, I want to say 1,000 times quicker, because when we see something, the visual image goes in through the creative imagination principle, and it starts to trigger really quick. So that's why a lot of the platforms and the images we see constantly are activating our greatest wounds. I work through the wounds in this mentoring that I do, and it's so amazing to really understand, first of all, what your relationship alchemy is. Second of all, how that connects to your sexual energy and your power and everything that happens on the day-to-day in your life. It's going to be more important than ever to understand these things because technology is amping up. All right. I got to hurry up because I want to say a couple more things, and then I want to talk about the woman, the power of the woman. We have to. The sign of who you are right now is how well you can harmonize in any relationship. It doesn't mean you have to have a love relationship, but how you can be authentically yourself and still be okay with other people and have love with other people. We all need love. We're all so isolated, and there's so much pain. And I know I get emails all the time about people feeling isolated, suffering. I've experienced it myself in such great way, because sometimes the more awake you get, the more it seems overwhelming in this world. And I know in my work, I have to constantly engage in social media, on YouTube, on Facebook, on these live streams. And sometimes it's, you have to really stay in balance to do it and not lose connection with this power, because so many messages are being sent. But the more you can do it, the more you can go into your world and hold that, the stronger you get. And it's so beautiful. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to try the chat. It looks like it's open. I'm just going to check. Yeah, it says it's open. Oh, all panelists and attendees. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I had attendees on. So if you want to try writing something on, you can. It said all panelists. I just put all attendees. So hi. Oh, hello. Oh my gosh. I didn't have it on. I'm so sorry. So the chat room is open. So the auric field is everything. And so I've written this. One of the most popular things I ever did was to talk about the aura of a beautiful woman and what that really is. I'm telling you, beauty is beauty. We all love physical beauty. What's not to love about seeing someone beautiful? And but the truth is that we're all so beautiful. This is the truth, that each one of us has come. You've heard this a million times, but I just want to say it. Your encoding is already in you. All you have to do is be you. You can't find who you are on the outside. You have to ask yourself, if you've been, if we have a lot of familial wounds, if we have a lot of things that came from growing up, our parents, our environment, where we've lived, that trigger that caught our wound and really overtook us. In one of the things, when you look at your archetypal blueprint and really look at your chart, you can see, oh my God, this is who I am right now. These are my gifts. This is how I communicate. This is my sexual energy. This is what the challenges are in this area. So, I can forgive myself. No wonder when I first understood one of the greatest challenges, I have a very direct challenge in communication that I had to transmute. It's also the greatest power I have for downloading, having Kundalini Shakti awaken me. But in the wounded state, it fires off because it feels threatened. And so I put that one to rest many years ago, but I had to go through it. To put it to rest, I had to see it. That's the great thing is about these wounds, we can't just gloss over them. If we think we're awake, and a lot of teachers right now that are out there have this enlightenment that's of the head. The thing is, we can't bypass anything. We have to activate the heart, and we have to activate the lower underbelly and clear it. Otherwise, that power is still down there, and it can be triggered at any time. We might think we're walking around with Shaktipat or having this activation, but any given time, the Kundalini force can sweep right into that and create it in our field. We know when we've gone past some of that because we don't get triggered anymore. That thing that always used to get us, it's so beautiful. You can see it, and you just have so much compassion for yourself and how you carried it. But then you can see it in everyone else, and you become a healer. Just your presence, just being around other people, that you hold that healing inside you begins to heal the earth. All right. Okay, yeah, the alchemy is incomplete until you can hold your own in relationship or in a group, or just being in the world without, wanting to run and hide. The alchemy is not quite complete yet. We're all doing this, and this is the time. So here I want to talk about beauty, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the gnosis of the inner gnosis of divine light and our creating our own environment. So beauty is a knowing, and it's ageless. It's ageless. It's true that there's certain sexual, fertile energies, hormonal energies assigned in this reality as we move through the spectrum. And as I'm speaking to women now, because it's huge with women. It's huge with women because women are the creative force on this planet, and we generate the human race. So we start out young, then we come into a certain kind of fertility, and then we go into a certain year of, beyond that, and then we go into another years beyond that and beyond that. There's many different levels and stages. But the truth is that I wrote an Akashic Insight called the Eternal Maiden Archetype, and that is really about what this training is about, birthing the eternal maiden, understanding that you are not your age, you're not your form, even though we want those things to harmonize with us and we want to feel good about them. Oh, there are so many secrets. There are so many secrets. This world currently wishes, especially for women, to not understand these things, because we are the creative force. And when we truly know how to access that power without the insecurities, the trauma, the low self-worth, the shame, but it's beyond that even. It goes into the frequency of divine love, because divine love is very humble. A lot of people talking about Shakti and awakening this and awakening that. Divine love is a pure humility, because it's so much power that your beauty, you have to have it magnetized by silence. Meaning there's a humility and a wisdom. We think of wisdom as being with the crone, because look at the woman, you get humbled as you get older in a very powerful way. I've already lived through so much of this. I've seen it each step of the way, but I knew it when I was a little girl. I knew I came in for this mission because I already felt like an old crone when I was 10 years old. I somehow had that already. I was embodying that energy because I knew, and I was connecting to that grandmother energy already at that age. There's so much to be understood about this, but it's truly it's the greatest part of healing this planet. And it's the true activism, and true feminism will come from knowing that we are not some of the images that are being shown to us right now. So once we have beauty and we create this field of divine love in our aura, it comes out in concentric rings. We emanate it. It starts with our body, and then our space. Our breath is a huge part of that, but we have to be okay being in our body. So first I'm in my body, and I understand my beauty right now. I understand who I am, that the pure creative force of goddess, of God, is me. I am an individual unit of that, and nothing can trump that. Nothing. Nothing. How funny I use that word. Nothing. But I have to know it. If I don't know it, the divine is off love frequency. There's no way it can awaken. It's there. It's dormant, but it's only a seed in a hard shell. We call it the archontic shell. I have to know who I am. So we have to take silence to do that. More and more now, my meditations are coming into silence. Nothing, no chanting, no music. I'm getting deeper and deeper. I've always used this, but now it's becoming more and more important to be able to hear the silence. And to be able to understand that that's the truth of your power. Your power is actually silent. You have to link to that silence to even begin to understand your body or your pains or your suffering or whatever you're trying to heal. If we don't have silence in a love relationship, we can't even understand what the other person's saying. We just keep running the same thing over and over. We keep saying the same things because we're just fighting it. We're saying our wound, our wound, our wound. Silence is a way to help us activate our true words that really put the divine word on. And one of the things I think I put was awakening the divine word on what we say so that it really changes. We want to show up. We don't want to disappear. Showing up is love. Disappearing is fear. Sometimes that's different than taking time. Taking time out is a boundary, but disappearing, so many times we just drop out, we disappear, we're gone, or we let someone disappear from us because we send out our greatest wound until they're gone. We do it subconsciously knowing that will happen, but we push people away. Showing up is love. Being able to speak is love. Being able to just sit there with somebody is love, and hold space. And just own who you are in the given moment, how you look, how you feel. It might be a day you don't feel well. God knows, I've had to show up for more videos and more things in the past, especially 10 years doing the Art of the Feminine platform that I didn't know if I would make it. And because I surrendered, it was better than I could have ever even imagined. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Let me just see here. Oh, it's nice to see some more people have come on. So I'm going to jump into the woman. Oh, take responsibility for that. It's free. It's free. Your breath and connecting to who you are for just even 1 minute without letting the outer world program you. Without the outer world, forget your wounds, forget everything. You have to just, I'm going to it'll all be there waiting for you when you come back. Put it aside and go into it. Let's just do it right now for about 10 seconds. So just go into your heart frequency and just step in. And just listen. It's in that field that we all exist. I'm thinking of when I teach light body yoga, sometimes I call it light body stargate because you're literally going into a stargate. This is our power. And this is this is our starting point. There's no place else to start but this point. If you are feeling desperate one day or feeling, just stop everything and go in and know who you are. It's because you get beautiful. Like all of a sudden you're beautiful. Your face is beautiful. Your hair, your lips take on the divine heart shape, and the tongue and the soft palate come into alignment, and the heart opens. And then the word is really meant to serve the heart. Now, the higher mind, the mental body, and the heart energy, the emotional body are meant to coexist in the heart. So we're not axing out the masculine or the mental body, but the heart is truly the womb of creation. So I'm going to say a few more things and then see if anybody has any questions. So woman, this is what this is about. So light body woman is light body. The aura of beauty is knowing who you are and not apologizing for anything, not having regrets about what you missed. Oh, I missed this age group. I can tell you, I work with a lot of young people, and I see them, and meaning young, like early 20s, and I think, wow. I remember being there, and I see all just pure beauty and pure wisdom. And this new group coming in has huge gifts, but also knowing that the things you're working through at that age are also huge. And sometimes we don't even get rewarded. What's so interesting is when you're really young and you're that way, you know, what we see in the Instagram models and in the fashion industry and in Hollywood, that's not even the time when we get the rewards that are the most fulfilling. It's so interesting that when we have the greatest beauty in this world, oftentimes we're in the place of the greatest challenge and pain. Now, I'm not saying that to mean that we don't have absolute joy at that age, but meaning we still are learning. And that's one of the esoteric mysteries that we go into, the different levels of learning and how we come into the understanding and the full integration of power. We're at the time now where we're all doing it right now. We don't have to go through time. The woman is time. The fall was into time. And that's why we say sometimes the feminine fell. It's not really the woman that fell. We felt the soul, which is the feminine, fell into time and became ravaged by time. We age, we die, the whole thing. And which is really funny when you understand what that actually is. It's an illusion. So we love that illusion, but we also connect to what's beyond the illusion. Woman, know what you are. This is the gist of the entire thing. You are the door to life. And I'm saying this for all the women that are on right now. It's not about people owe you. It's not about what people owe you. You create the reality. It's about you being the creative power on the planet. This is what we're doing. This is what we're understanding. If I spend my time mad all day about, you know, everything on the outside, I've just given away. I might be right. I may be right. I might be intellectually so right about what I see. I'm a good analyst, but am I a good creator? What do I bring to the table? What am I really offering? And how am I feeling? Most of the time, if you sit home criticizing people or if you're judging people all day, you definitely, we can't feel good about ourselves if we're judging other people. That's an esoteric metaphysical truth. When I'm judging other people, the kind of feel good I get is the darker energy. I'm accessing the lust force. I'm accessing the lower desire force and building my body out of that. That creates disharmony and disease and discord in our being. That's not where we want to create from. There's a much higher level to create from. So I just wrote this. I can't remember what I wrote, but I wrote it. I'm going to read it. The power of the woman. I wrote it this morning. The woman brings love to earth. Light body woman. The woman brings love, and heart energy is healing energy, and that the polarity of the feminine represents the heart energy. Now, always, as always, I say all men and women have man and woman inside them, and there's all different. If you've listened to all my New Human Sexual Paradigm podcasts, we're all made up of both man and woman. All of us are a man and woman, and all of us are ultimately a woman because we're all a soul in this world. But there's a masculine and feminine pole that I talked about in the Libra new moon video. That the feminine pole is the heart pole. So the feminine births the heart on earth. We are that heart energy, and we're the pure power of that. Materialism, vanity, celebrity obsession eat away at the heart energy. They build the lower heart, but they tear away at the fabric of the light body in the auric field. They feel so good. It's like the false light sexual deception. They get us going. They get that energy moving through us, but it eats us. To understand that the desire force is actually an eater. It's eating as it goes. We want it to transmute. We want it to eat the things we're transmuting, but not the body of consciousness and the body of light. So we have to understand and discern those images that are being sent to us right now. They are primarily coming through some of the programs that we all subscribe to and see. So how can we interact with those things and not be completely overtaken and not have them like actually squeeze out our energy of our field? By being in that place we talked about. Then that's the beginning, by being in that place and by creating who we are and harmonizing and bringing our gift to the table. They build up the ego. That energy when you're building the ego can feel pretty darn good. And a lot of this entrepreneurial vanity materialism that's coming in, there's good entrepreneurial, but a lot of it is bit by the bug of vanity and lust and fame and doesn't even know it. And it's the feminine latches to that very easily because it's so seductive. We're meant to have that, but it's the frequency that we have it in. It's that divine love heart frequency. And it's not necessarily all soft and it's not about being, that ultra spiritual sort of new age archetype. It's not that. It's about being authentically who you are and holding that as your base frequency. The other thing about that lust, it bites you when you least expect it. All you have to do is look at celebrity and understand what's happening. Look at how high you can go and how quickly you can be bitten by your own, by the own bubble that's been created around. Now, I don't have time to go into all of that, but I think you probably get the understanding. Pure love is the creative power, and it doesn't need fame. It may have fame, but it doesn't need it. It doesn't depend on it. It's not having an anxiety to create it. It doesn't need to see its name in lights everywhere. It might generate those things now and then, but it doesn't need it. It's detached from it. It watches them with a delight, but it doesn't need it. It's coming from a different place. It may have fame. It may have its moment of celebrity. You can only have what's really in your blueprint to have, meaning if you're meant to have that, and if you're meant to have it in the body of pain, you'll have it in the body of pain. If you're meant to have it in the healed state, you'll have it in the healed state. It's the fame, it's the fame of the sun and the solar force, because the sun just shines. It doesn't need to shine, it just shines. It's just seen. The sun is seen without any effort on its part. It just shines, it just gives, and in giving it's seen and loved because it gives us warmth and it gives us power. True love and true creativity are moving one step at a time in the direction of your truth. So there's no anxiety. It's just one step at a time. There's no competition. It's just one step at a time. And you harmonize and you're able to collaborate and create with others and find others. And there's no threat. This idea of threat, competition, of being, it's all the false light deception. And it's not real, but it's what manipulates the feminine in a very big way. This is the beauty and power, and this is all soulmates. Oh, and all soulmates show up. I wanted to say this about love because there's some dating and love has become a market. It's being sold. It's being sold. It's like love, and it's being sold in a way that's gotten out of control with online dating and the whole industry. It's the biggest industry out there right now, love. So one thing that we have to understand is that love comes to us. We can't really make love come. Love is going to come because whatever you've come in to learn, you're going to attract the person that's going to show up. There's different things that we talk about when I work with this in the training that I do, but just know, if don't ever feel alone, like you're always going to be alone, and don't feel like you can avoid a relationship. When the right person comes, you couldn't push them away with everything you have. If your higher self wants that person to be there, they'll be there, and you're going to work out what you need to work out. It's more about being available to receive the person who's coming, and then within the context of that, it's how we use it. It's how we use that vehicle of relationship. And that's why a huge part of my work is relationship alchemy. How you use a relationship when you have it. So there's no, and by use it, I mean how you live in it, how you breathe in it. We've all had to go through a lot of relationships where we look back, where there's regrets, where there's pain, where there's suffering. We had to go through those to learn. There's core things that we can learn from looking at them to understand what our signature wound was, and to know where we're working, where it was our soul's destiny to heal in this lifetime. And then we just do it. We're going to get everything we need. That's a given. But how we live in it will determine whether we feel beautiful, happy, fulfilled, creative, powerful, like we understand heaven, we understand earth, we understand life, we understand death. The woman is life and death. She's the doorway, she's the entrance, and she's the exit. That's the feminine. Women have the power to understand these mysteries in a very big way. So, all right, I'm getting ready to come to an end, but the true power of the feminine Shakti force is understanding the frequency of that energy and activating it as divine love. That's a pure, silent form that just flows. It just is. And the whole, if we want to call it the outer agenda, to block the feminine for this 26,000 years or however long the cycle is it's based on not wanting the true power of love to come into form. Because once it comes into form, the lower dimensional energies that have a lockdown on this planet, we can't be held by them. You know, if people want to stay in those energies, they can, but the soul can no longer be dominated and ravaged by pain and suffering. It's a different game. It's a game changer for real. This kind, the steady force is a subtle, and it awakens true creative power of silence and stillness, of trust, of divine love, of steadiness, true visionary power, leadership, and the ability to discern and not be fooled by some of the things we see. And by the way, once you're not fooled by them, you don't even have to attack them. You'll use your words so wisely. You'll realize that your word power is God in action, and there's no need to anyway, that's a whole science in and of itself. There's no competition. You see the illusion and you raise the bar within the illusion. I see some people that have had questions. I'm just going to say, I cannot conceive of how we are ever to adjust or redeem humanity, or how we are ever to make the home an ideal place of love and harmony until women understand themselves. Catherine, oh wow, that's beautiful. It's beautiful. Oh, beautiful. That's it. So beautiful. So truthful. You know, and I did a video called The Return of the Cosmic Mother. And so my work started with fertility and the understanding of birth and the home and the mother. I have to say, not all women are meant to have children. So please know that. Absolutely. Especially now, more and more will choose to do other things. But we get here through that vehicle, and it's so deep. And the home is the true church. The home is the true church. It's the true temple. It's where we get nourished. It's where our children grow up. It's where our children learn about polarity and harmonizing polarity. It's where they learn how to nurture themselves and eat. There's so many mysteries. We have to, we're going to do this. It's going to absolutely happen. And I'm a big part of it. And it's like we all are. And this is the true feminism and the true activism. And it's going to come on. It's going to come through the back door, and it's already there. But just know there's a lot of the movement has been taken over right now. And so don't be discouraged when you see that. Can you speak to how to tangibly anchor our awareness in this body, in our true core power, so we are able to hold rooted presence unto ourselves? How to tangibly anchor awareness into this body, into our true core power. Yes. And we were just talking about that, but let's see if we can go even deeper. We all know when we check ourselves where we're at. We look at what's running through your mind, and take your time to let that go. Sometimes if you try to sit down prematurely, let's say you're spiraling about something, so often we're running words through our mind. Sometimes I hear myself talking about, I have so many things to teach and talk about, realize I'm speaking them in my mind, and I'm like, wait a minute, stop. But sometimes you can't just stop. So you've got to give yourself that space to run it all out, write it all out. Whatever wound is active in you right now, write it, give it a space. Treat it like a child and let it be, until you can have some quiet. And then go in and experience yourself. Rooted is, that's rootedness, is being in the body. and understanding that it's through the body. The body is the vehicle, and the female body is just like, oh my God, female body, the Holy Spirit animates the female body because it has to bring souls into the world. And so if it's not going to bring a soul in, it can bring other things in. And so go into your own inner temple and just get really connected. The true root is in the heart, but you can let it run up and down the spine. Spine represents the masculine principle. So I always run light up and down my spine with my breath, start breathing. Just take a few breaths. I wait until I slow my breath down to a place where it's good, meaning where there's no anxiety, there's no trace of the outer world and the outer stimulus. And then I go into nostril breathing and just let my mouth close. And once you're breathing and you've let any disturbing thoughts go, call forth the silence. And when you call forth the silence, just feel your body. Sometimes I like to feel my hands. Your hands will feel different to you if you, when you're in that space, they feel so beautiful. It's like you feel matter, you feel your body. And I've been doing this a lot lately, and I'm like, oh wow, I'm here. Like I'm the goddess, but I'm here in 3D. That's a miracle. And then you know it, and just start, understanding who you are. Dress yourself to understand who you are, meaning put on something that feels really beautiful and good, not to please, but to feel really connected to who you are. Take care of yourself during the day, meaning I know the big thing is self-care right now, but just simply care for yourself. Get water when you need water, sit down when you need to sit down, feel joy when you need to feel joy, but just move through life honoring your temple and watching yourself more and more to not be triggered. I find that when I'm in a place of pure compassion for myself, I'm super rooted. Have compassion for yourself. And then when I go out, because the world's tough these days, and driving around, going into stores, I'm not even in the big city right now. I don't live in New York City anymore. So it's like, I don't have to deal with that. But when I see people and I'm in that place, instant compassion, there's a resonance of compassion that comes back and forth, and you're rooted. All the rest is a joke. When you can see people's beauty and their soul and their joy and their pain and their suffering, you're ultra human. I think being human and honoring being human is the best way to be rooted. You can see that everybody's going through this, or even the people you don't resonate with or don't even like, all of a sudden you can see them, and it's not what you thought. Everyone is not, we're seeing the glazed over false light. That's why we say it's an illusion. That's why we say that. That's why sometimes we say it's all an illusion. I'll say that in just a minute. Because when we're not seeing from the root, it is an illusion. It's not real. Reality looks different. So I'd say compassion, but go in and find the silence. Get familiar with that. Turn everything off. Take breaks from things. I know recently I decided I can't do my personal Facebook page right now. I just can't, I couldn't do it. I have too many things going on. So I have my Art of the Feminine Facebook group, and I do a little bit of Instagram, but I'm taking a break from all of it. Oh my God, it feels so different. And this is why. It's not because those things are bad, but when you see so many images, you start to get a little distant from that silence. You have to have the silence at all costs, and then go back out, get in touch with who you are and go back out. I hope that helps. I logged in at the end from Germany. Yes, there'll be a replay. I'll post I'm going to sending out the newsletter tomorrow. I'm going to send out the newsletter with the Light Body Woman info if you're interested. But I'm also going to send a link. I'm doing a live stream on YouTube tomorrow for the Pluto-Saturn conjunction. And I'll post this as a replay for tomorrow. Does anybody else have any questions? Even if you just joined, anything you want, you can ask. I'm going to see if there's anything that I can think of. So I'll just go through some of the things we do in the mentoring. Yeah, as you know, it's deep relationship work. Oh my God, if you think you're in a relationship and you're stuck, this will be the place that we're going to work one-on-one. It's a group where everyone shows up. We have a weekly live video, but then you have every week you get to send questions right before we go live. So I answer all questions within all of your personal questions, which is what I would use in mentoring. When we do work one-on-one, will be answered. That it will be based on what you need and on what I want to teach. So sometimes when I do the one-on-one, which is much more expensive, it's sometimes I realize at the end of someone's one-on-one, their 3 month, I didn't get to even actually teach everything because or give everything because we get so involved in the story of the one-on-one life, which is very hugely powerful, and we really work on the archetypal level. But in this, because this is group mentoring, the very first time I've ever done it, I'm going to teach the wisdom and then let your questions flow from that, and then show you how to access your individual things. We're going to look at individual blueprints, archetypes. We're going to, even if you're not interested in astrology, I'm going to have you bring your astrological charts, and I'm going to show you how to look at your chart and your loved one's chart and be like, you will be blown away with some of the things I'll show you, because you're going to see how you can understand why and things are happening that are happening. It's right there. It's right before your eyes. And it's so, that's one of the new things I've added. Let me see if there's anything else. And if anyone thinks of any questions while I'm speaking, please feel free to post them in the chat. What else? So we work on sexuality is huge. It's huge. We work on something I call light body word, the power of communication. And really, I mean, it's really going to be centered around the mysteries of the woman. You knowing what it means to be a woman right now. Now, if you're a man listening, know that I do this work with men too, but women knowing who they are is going to heal the planet. That's it. It's like once you really understand the gifts of what we carry. And so I'm going to go into a lot of the more esoteric level work that's not really out there to understand, because it's just part of the work that I've been interested for the past almost 2 decades, which is hard to believe. So, wow, it looks like we're at the end. I can't remember what time we started, but I'll just wait one more moment and see if anyone else has any questions. If there's anything you want to ask about beauty and the auric field, I would say right now, look at what you're interested in that's in the collective, but don't be pulled in. If you feel yourself being constantly pulled, back off. You want to go into creating from who you are. You have to create from what you're here to do. Don't let somebody tell you what to do or how you're meant to look or create. You've got to create from what you are. It's not until you're showing up as you that you can contribute. And that's when it feels so good. Now, just to be clear, we still have to face challenges when we do that. And let me tell you, the higher you go, the more broad your sphere of influence gets, the bigger that the universe will throw a big challenge your way, just so you get to step up and use your power. But it's a privilege to be given those things. It can be scary because every now and then your soul will bring in something profound, just to test you. It's an initiation, just to see if you can maintain that balance of who you really are while interacting in the world. Because even when I go out with my mission, and I show up as the gifts that I'm bringing in, and every now and then, something that's hard or challenging shows up that's more like an attack, and you have to learn how to feel it, but not be taken out by it. That's the key in this world, to be able to feel, not to numb out, not to lose our power to feel. Our power to feel is everything. We want to feel and have compassion, but then generate creativity and power. We might have to really sit with it. If it's a big one, sometimes I'll have to sit for an hour, and then I know what to do. So I think that's it. I think I'm going to close out. I invite you, if you're seeing this on Saturday on the Libra new supermoon, tomorrow I think I'm going to do the Pluto-Saturn conjunction live on YouTube. So feel free to come to the Shannon Port YouTube channel for that live stream. And I will send out the Akashic Insight newsletter tomorrow morning with the link to this playback and with the information for Light Body Woman, if you're interested. And so that being said, I just wish everyone a beautiful, beautiful Libra new supermoon, and may all your intentions I just feel like it's like really just opening our hearts. May all your intentions be blessed by the light of the divine feminine, the divine mother. I'm going to be teaching a lot more about the divine feminine and what really truly the power and the gift for humanity is. It's not just about women, but the divine feminine is huge, and may the divine feminine fire and the power of divine love really set your intentions in your heart and project them into this reality so that you can, as an individual unit, be supported, uplifted, and feel love and connection so that you can really shine and be part of the symphony at this time. And so that being said, we close out and wishing you huge blessings for the Libra new supermoon. If you're seeing this into the future, it's all good. It's all on right now. And so huge blessings and sending you love and namaste.